So when I found out I was going to be on the news, the local news, and talking about preparing your car for winter, I anticipated having lots of time to talk about it, and I'll use just a teeny bit. But in the meantime, I bought all these different wipers and was all prepared, and it's like when you have to give a speech or a sales presentation or even talk in church. It's like you always want to be over prepared and be able to fill your time, instead of being under prepared and just lost for words and just being desperate to have somebody take over. So here's the deal. Here's the 3 different wipers that you have. Now this is a great wiper. There's nothing wrong with this except for in winter time, and I'll tell you why. When you're driving in the sleet, in the snow, in the rain, or you've got things melting on your windshield because you have such good defrost going on because your antifreeze is all the way full and your blower motor's good and everything, basically what happens is you get all that moisture. And that moisture gets on look at all these little hinges. Isn't that a cute little hinge? Because your windshield, it's not perfectly flat. If it was, it'd be real easy, like those old semis, the flat front semis in the 80s. Your windshield's curved, and so your windshield wiper has to be able to curve to that. So you see all of these different joints and things, when they get covered with moisture and it freezes, then it's not going to be able to contour to the windshield. So it'll freeze like this, and you'll only get just a little bit. It's like a violin, huh? You'll only get a little bit of a contact, and you'll wind up getting like a rainbow stripe of clear versus, and what good is that? I mean, it's like those people that just take out a credit card or something and they scrape a little part of the windshield, their hand's frozen, so they stop and drive it that way. That's no good. Don't do that. Don't let that be you. So get the right wipers. If your wiper looks like this, you are not ready for winter. Your car is not winterized. Among other things, it's important to have good wipers. Now this is the exact same kind of wiper setup, and these have been around forever, but it's ready for snow. It's got its boots on. And normally you'll see them with a red on the end. I wasn't able to find one of those when I was shopping for things to do that little news thing. It's got the little caps on it. The red ones say, "Hey, I'm for snow." But it doesn't matter. You can use these in the winter anytime, anyway. Typically these style wipers only last about 6 months, and then they're just done. So we'll set that aside, and we'll talk about the kind of wiper that you see here. Now look at this. He's got a little bit of rubber rot, and it's coming off of there. We'll zoom in so you can see it. Look at the carnage. Ah! Violin screeching insert here. So his are getting pretty worn out. The way to tell if your wipers are worn out or not, by the way, is to just turn them upside down and look at them. This one's brand new, and it's leaning slightly to, as you're looking at the screen, it's leaning to the left, right? So isn't English funny? Leaning to the left, right? So if it's leaned way over, then you need to replace your wipers. It should be pretty much in the center. So, and this one's brand new, and it's leaning because of the way it was in the package. Not the most expensive wiper in the world. But anyway, you take these. These are awesome. You can run these in the summertime, wintertime, anytime. Summertime. Summertime, oh, sorry, I broke out in this song there. I'm so excited about this topic. So anyway, you look at these, you can see it's nice and centered, and it's arced. So there's nothing to freeze here. So these work great for the wintertime. These typically last about a year, sometimes 2 or 3. So there's a lot of different kinds. These are the Bosch Icon, I believe. And this is what I run on my truck. So they contour to the windshield well, so you get a full clear picture out the windshield, and they're great for the winter, summer, whatever. And you'll notice they have an A or a B after the name, so you want to look it up and get it right, because the way that this goes is it arcs in this way, and sometimes you'll have another arm from the other side or whatever. But the contour here actually helps with the wind. When you're on the freeway, it works kind of like a fin on the back of a NASCAR or an Indy type car to push down. So even if you're going real fast, it doesn't make like a wing and start flying up away from the windshield. That wind actually helps hold that wiper down against the windshield, so you get a good clean wipe. So as Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that. Now while we're on the topic of windshield wipers, let's talk about windshield washer fluid. Now not all washer fluids are created equal. And just like with the batteries, if you buy a battery from Florida or Texas or someplace where it just doesn't get that cold, you're not going to get the cold cranking amps that you'll get from one that you buy in Montana, Wyoming, or North Dakota. And the same thing goes with washer fluid. So if you take a vehicle from one of these southern states and move to Canada or something, there's some things you're going to need to do to winterize your car. You know, a lot of people say, well, we don't have to winterize cars anymore because everything's set up and good to go. No, you don't have to rejet your car in the winter time because everything's fuel injected. You don't have to do a lot of things that you might otherwise have to do. We have antifreeze that lasts 150,000 miles in some cars, so people think they're set. But washer fluid, let's take a look at this. When you look at this one, which is a fancy Renix with bug remover, it's good to 32 Fahrenheit. So basically it's like water, it'll freeze. And what happens if your windshield washer fluid freezes? Well, not only is this tank going to crack, but it's also going to crack the lines. There's a little pump in there that can be affected, and it's certainly not going to come out your nozzle. Now in this area, we have plow trucks that come around. They do a great service, you know, to make it safe for everybody, but they also put out a bunch of gravel and a lot of salt. Now all that gravel, salt, and slurry of melted snow and all that kind of stuff, it sprays up onto the car, it covers everything, it rusts things out, it chips paint. I mean, it wreaks havoc. But among other things, it's also going to cover your windshield in this just nasty, gritty stuff. And so you're going to be using, and with the salt, it just covers, you can't see. You know, I don't care what kind of wipers you're running, it's going to smear. So basically, you have to have your washer working in proper condition. So along with your wipers, you got to have those washer fluid systems working properly, but also not rusting or not rusting out. I'm thinking of all the salt and the gravel that's going to affect the paint this year. But you got to have your washer tank so that it's not going to freeze. When you look at this bottle here, this is what you got to have. You know, spray out, drain out, do whatever you got to do. So you got to get rid of it real quick. If you pull out the little washer motor at the bottom of your washer tank, you know, it's quick. It's easy. Just a couple bolts, pull it up, almost quick. Some of them aren't easy. They're in the fender and they're hard to get to. I know. But you got to get this. This is the negative 20 Fahrenheit, 20 below. I forget that I'm up close, I got to hold it up. And then I got a flare on it. Got to get something that's rated to negative 20, and that's typically the best you can get on this stuff. But there's things that you can do to increase that. That's in another video. So, wipers, washer fluid, you got to cover that too. Also, sometimes in the summertime, even if you live in Montana, they'll sell you that plus 32 stuff. And if you don't use it a lot during the summers, oftentimes people don't, going into winter, you're going to have a cracktastic surprise when your washer stuff freezes up, or it sprays up on your windshield. More surface area, more cold air contact, and it freezes on your windshield. Ah, I can't see. Oh no.